Oh my god. Kill it. Kill it. It's Jeremy Vaeni. How are you? We don't have a lot of time, so I thought I'd cut the theme song short. And for all I know, I'm playing to static, and nobody's actually listening, which is fine. It's just that somebody had, a woman named Kim had posted to me at jvay.com on a thread a question that I thought was really good and one that I've gotten before numerous times, so I thought I would answer it and then tie it into the big enlightenment extinction that we all felt today in 2012, right? Am I right? 21st, 2012? Yeah, so that didn't happen, but, you know, hold out hope. Hold out hope, folks. I see that there are, in fact, people in the chat room. Can you all hear me or no? Just let me know and I'll keep talking. Oh, Slow Loris says, yes, indeed. I believe she can hear me. Great, thank you. I made a post about the time that I was seemingly possessed by some sort of, I don't know, gargoyle-looking entity. I posted a link to a YouTube video where I'm talking about that. And so she commented on that, Kim did, and she asks the following. She says, I am so trying to evolve more to where you are at, but I heard you say, I feel like I made a prior agreement, which I've heard from other abductees. I kind of feel like since I'm not an abductee, I will never be able to reach what you have achieved in this video. Maybe this is all tied to the visitors and not so much becoming more spiritual on our own. What do you think? And here, of course, she's talking about my quote-unquote alien abductions. Of course, anyone who listens to Paratopia knows I ain't too keen on the words alien or abduction anymore, but whatever that is, you know, whatever that intelligence is, has that led me to where I am, and so that I'm experiencing all of these crazy, outlandish spiritual things. And so when I write a book like Urgency, or I say on the radio here, you know, over and over again, this is for everybody, am I wrong? Is it just for people who have been tampered with or had agreements with this intelligence? And the answer is no. And how do I know that? Well, the first part of that is I didn't come to this by way of this intelligence, these beings, whatever that is. I came to it on my own. Now, arguably, you could say, well, I was interested in all this stuff, and by being exposed to them and in search of answers, found my way to Jiddu Krishnamurti and understood what he had to say. And so circuitously, sort of like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, maybe they're responsible in that way. But I think the feeling of having made a prior agreement was very specifically about that one experience with that, dare I say, entity. I don't know whatever that thing was that was coming through moi. I think the only thing keeping me from being locked up is that I'm speaking this out loud. I think to an audience. If I didn't have an audience and I were just mumbling this to myself, I would be locked up for sure. So thanks everyone for keeping me out of lockup. So all of this is to say that no, it is an individual thing, and I came to this individual awakening, if you want to call it that. Again, as everyone out there listening to me probably knows, through Jiddu Krishnamurti. So what I got from him is that exactly the opposite of what she's saying, which is that it can only come through you, this awakening, this whatever you want to call it. It can't be from an outside force. It can't be from aliens. It can't even be from me to you, or the Dalai Lama to me, or, you know, Eckhart Tolle, or any of that. I mean, there are lots of fingers that can point, but there's, you know, only you can look to completely steal from Buddha by way of Ted Rowe. So that's my general answer to the question is no. No. But the more specific is, look at the way she, and by extension, I think most people phrase these things, these types of questions, because I think if you really get this, you'll get the whole problem. Start back with the first sentence. I am so trying to evolve more to where you are. That right there, you're trying to do something. If the whole point is that there's nothing for you to do, it's just a simple matter of the self, you, seeing that you can't get to this, that thought is in the way, then there's nothing to try. There is nothing to evolve to. So that's already the problem. The problem is that we are taught to seek, and in this case, spiritually, on this great level, that is the wrong thing to do. Of course, there are other things that you can seek spiritually, right? There are meditations you can do, and there are things that have prayers and ritual type stuff and yoga and all these things that do have effects. But these are the lesser things, not the great enchilada, not the big thing from which they flow, from which they are expressions. But the expressions do create their own effects. So we look at that and we go, okay, therefore, we roll it over. Therefore, the big one you should be able to seek it and have an effect. But no, it's actually the opposite of everything else, if that makes sense. So she feels like since she's not an abductee, she'll never be able to reach what I've achieved. Now, I haven't achieved anything, and there's nothing to reach. Once again, I don't know why. It's hard for me to understand why this is difficult anymore, but I remember that it was for me too. And this gets back to Jiddu Krishnamurti, and this sort of circles us to 2012 and something I wanted to talk about specifically with you guys, which is this. One thing that Jiddu Krishnamurti said that was really hard for me to wrap my head around is that hope is the enemy of man, right? Hope is the enemy of man. Think about that. I mean, that is antithetical to everything. And really, Jiddu Krishnamurti, as with me, as with anyone who has had this sort of experience, says the same thing in different words over and over. So, but because they're different words, it gets confusing. And, you look at them and you go, oh, that makes me angry. But it's really not, once you get the explanation, it's not any different than what I just said, which is that you're setting something outside of yourself as an ideal, as something to achieve, so that you never achieve it. That's what hope is. Hope sets something up outside of you, and you go, oh gosh, I hope I get there. I wish I had that. I want to attain that. All of that desire and all of that placing all of your energy out away from you is creating the situation of never relaxing into it, never dissolving and becoming it. But again, antithetical to everything. Everything that we believe ourselves to be and how we build our structures and all that, at least the Western societies. I don't know about every society. In any event, this brings me to 2012. Now, unless I'm wrong, we didn't all just become enlightened, right? Nor did we all just die. So there's some good news and bad news. But of course, it's kind of silly when you think about it. Enlightenment isn't an event, right? It's not a thing that you obtain. This is what we're saying. It is a state in which you are or are not. So what would bring us there, and why do we deserve it? Why do we deserve to just wake up into, perfection? Something tells me we don't, but okay. Something also tells me that some of this galactic alignment stuff isn't just a holdover from when we thought the world revolved around us. Well, now the whole universe, clicks into place like a giant clock, and it affects us personally. I could be wrong about that, because certainly the moon has an effect on tides, right? As my mom pointed out to me. So maybe there is some sort of effect, and of course we won't know any of this because we're not Maya. So how can we expect to look at their calendar and understand anything about it? We can just project onto it what we want. And what we want is enlightenment or death, which strangely are one and the same thing, although not physically. But death of self is quote-unquote enlightenment. So here's the problem. We've got this magical date, And it is now in the midst of passing, and for most of you has already passed. And we make jokes and we go, okay, great. What's next? But really think about this, folks. Hope is the enemy of man. And what did we do? We placed a whole heaping load of hope on this date. Fundamentalist Christians that I know believed that it was going to be some big day of reckoning. Of course, the New Age crowd believes whatever they believe, higher density or giant destruction or both. Various cultures around the world had something invested in this date. And now this is the key here. This is the last prophecy. What this is the extinction of prophecy. Now, of course, there are going to be the stragglers who say, well, we had the date wrong. It's actually 2015 or 2013 or whatever it is. But that's not going to catch on. It's possible that we just need something to believe outside of ourselves, so we'll just keep going that way, right? And just latch on to the next thing. But there ain't no next thing. There's no ancient thing. There's like, well, maybe an asteroid will hit us by 2025 or something. But that's an extinction event. There's no spiritual component to that. There's no Jesus returning. There's no aliens landing. There's no achieving whatever fucking density. None of that. This is it. This is the last of those prophecies that has any sort of mass appeal. There might be others that I'm missing, and I'm sure, someone in the chat room will be like, well, what about this from this culture? And it's like, but as far as I know, there aren't any others, and certainly they're not getting the airtime. So, my question to you is, what happens when we invest in hope, the enemy of man, when we invest in this, not just as a cult, not just as a New Age thing, but really all over the world, transcendent of that, mainstream religious people and cults and just regular everyday non-committal folk believed something about this magical date. Not everybody, of course, but enough people that my question is, now that it's over, I mean, it really is as though a door is going to shut on our world. That door is the end of prophecy, the end of something to put your hope and belief into, in terms of a finality, a date that you can look at and go, that's it, that's something. Do we end up with more school shootings? Do we end up with a hugely depressed globe of people who now have to reconcile that there ain't no one coming to get us, to come and rescue us, and we've fucked up the earth? Now, as Teokas and Ghost Horse would tell us, Mother Earth is in charge, and she doesn't need saving, because she's going to do it on her own, and I think these are one and the same problem for us, because the way she would do that, right, is bye-bye us, or something that changes us in some way, to where we cannot any longer harm the planet, harm her. Do you see what I'm getting at here, folks? I don't know. It may be nothing. It may be that we all go on with life and everything is just hunky-dory. Or we all go on in life and just continue down the path we're going and oblivious. But something tells me that something's going to snap. And it's not... We were all looking toward the date for this to happen. Like, what's going to lead up to 2012? Well, I'm more interested in what's going to happen after, because, like I said, that's the last concrete thing you can go, oh, that's the thing that I've put all of my hope into and all of my belief into. It's hard to go back to hunky-dory when nature is haywire as it is, because now you've got Earth rebelling against our contamination of Earth, right? So if we've got Earth going haywire and we have no hope, do we just descend into chaos, or does something... What happens? I just wanted to think about it. I don't have any answers. I could be completely wrong. I just want you to think about it. And just be on the lookout. That's all. Because this is a really interesting time to me that we're coming into. What say you? Now I'm going to look for the chat room here. Insane Shane says, a lot of peeps are having difficult transition with the new incoming energies. Well, again, what does that even mean? New energies. Is energy new? Are people having a difficult transition with new energies? I mean, how do you... To me, that's just more belief shit, you know? It's like, what are we talking about there? I do find it interesting that there's the... in the Middle East, you know, there's the supposed Arab Spring. And then the skeptics look at that and they go, well, they're just going to end up with new types of dictators. But it's interesting that that's happening at all of those topplings of the old regimes. And we feel it in America. A lot of people do. I don't know if enough do, but a lot of people do. It does feel as though something's coming to an end. But again, part of that feeling could have been 2012. And what happens when it doesn't end? And you're stuck there saviorless. You got to take responsibility, right? So even in that sense, circling back to Kim's question, even in that sense, it's on us. You know, there ain't no agreement. There ain't no savior. It's on us. Do we take responsibility for ourselves? Do we see the urgency of that? Or not? And if not, are we just going to look at each other bewildered when more school shootings happen, when more governments get toppled and all of this sort of stuff? I don't think that the toppling of governments is necessarily a good thing. It looks like it from the outset, but to go back to the skeptics, if you end up with more of the same or worse, then your sentiment, and maybe this goes to what Shane was saying, your sentiment got lost in the shuffle because ultimately, if that's a new energy, I don't know, but whatever it is that you felt, you were not healthy enough to translate into something beneficial in the long term. And we've seen this with hippies becoming Reaganites, right? It's like, let's all fight for civil rights and then let's relax and get back to snorting cocaine and destroying the economy for poor people. I mean, if we just do that on a massive scale to ourselves again, then no change might as well have happened at all. I don't know. Is any of this making sense, or am I just shitting into the wind here? Does anyone, I guess, disagree that this 2012 has had some sort of effect we're going to be seeing in the following weeks and months? Because I sort of felt it with the year 2000, where people were completely disappointed that either Y2K didn't happen or that, you know, Jesus didn't come back or whatever. I mean, it's felt kind of helpless since then and kind of like, who gives a shit? And a lot of that translated into the environment, that who gives a shit, you know? Well, Jesus is coming back anyway, so who gives a shit, you know? Well, it's probably part of a natural cycle. It's not our fault. Who gives a shit? There's nothing we can do about it. Now take that who gives a shit and and multiply it by there are no more end time dates. There's nobody coming. The jail is locked and the inmates don't get parole. What to do? Nodwood says, whoa, better go smoke some more to chase away the spirits. Don't want to be a Chandler. Yeah, well, what are you going to do? I have someone on hold here. I could take this call. I'm going to try. Caller?
Sure.
Are you an actual caller, or are you just listening?
Well, I'm listening. It's the real Shane.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Oh, man. Good, how are you?
Good. So what do you think? Do you think that this is nothing to worry about? Am I just, blowing smoke here? Or do you think we could be seeing, there's going to be sort of a wave of ramification of the lack of anything and another date to put your faith into?
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I was talking to my brother about this, and we're actually both a little disappointed that maybe something didn't happen. So we were thinking there's just too many assholes around, you know?
Well, it's funny because
if that's a good thought or not, but
I've talked to a number of people who had said, gee, I wish Obama didn't get elected again because he's going to try to fix things, and we kind of want to move this thing along of, toppling the empire so we can get on with what's next. There is this sense of there's something next, let's get there.
Yeah.
But it's all passive shit. It's all let's just have it happen, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird thing. And somebody had written something pretty brilliant to me about, for all this talk of people thinking that there's going to be an enlightenment that happens today and all of this. They sure aren't. They're not saying goodbye to anybody. Where's the wave of like love and peace and hey, goodbye to my friends and family, or just even the sense of I love you, just even an I love you. It's
maybe that'll happen with the holidays. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it just seems like there's this sort of unconscious, innate selfishness that goes with wanting this to end. And maybe I'm as guilty of that in some ways as anyone else. But anyway, do you? I mean, just in sort of in practical terms, I mean, do you see this being a problem or no? The fact that there's nothing after this.
I see what you're saying. I do think that people tend to latch on to right hope, or hope that there's another date, or hope that there's something else coming, and I'm sure it'll creep up. I'm sure there will be another end times, because I think people have comfort in that.
So you think we'll just attach it? You've got the built-in launch for it, and you'll just go.
Make a new date.
Right, leech onto something. But the thing is, I mean, this was an old date. You know what I mean? I feel like you would see through it if you made a new date. It's like, oh, well, what about... Well, no, because that wasn't written 8,000 years ago, or whatever it was.
Yeah, no, there's a... One thing pops into mind. A buddy of mine years ago was telling me about Isaac Newton's date of 2056, That's something, it's far enough in the future that you can latch onto that, and we'll all be dead by the time that comes around. So,
Newtonian laws of physics, but doesn't he sort of do himself in because Newtonian laws of physics have sort of died off?
Good point. Well, thanks, Jer. Thanks, man, for taking the call.
Hey, sure.
I'm gonna go back to listening if you don't mind.
All right.
I'm waking the family up here.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, thanks for talking to me. And sorry to the family. I'm actually glad that this thing is only a half hour because, I don't really have much more. I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know. I'm just stuck on hope is the enemy of man. If we can't... Because again, it's like, it's not just that the dates are gone. It's not just like this is the extinction of prophecy. This is the extinction of prophecy. Oh, and by the way... the planet is not going to be able to sustain us for much longer the way we're going. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, there are these planetary upheavals, and we've just come to grips with the fact that there's no one coming to save us, and billions of us believe in someone coming to save us. I got to think that that's going to create an unconscious, or maybe even conscious, just wave of despair. But I could be wrong about that. It could be that we wake up and go, oh, that's right. No one's coming to... Yeah, that's right. We got to do this on our own here, people. Let's get it together. I don't know. Nodwood says, hoping that something will happen to us rather than us happening to it. Which is it, Jeremy? Not sure I get that. Hoping that something will happen to us rather than us happening to it. I don't understand the question. I mean, I think that we do hope that something will happen to us. We want something for nothing, right? We want to wake up and be in another density. What the fuck that means? Or have the bad guys get wiped out, or whatever it is. He says, I don't know what it means either. It's too late at night. Very good. Well, thanks for making me suffer with that. What else? That's it. That's all I got. I got nothing else. I just wanted to throw that out there because I hadn't heard anyone talking about it, and it seems like an oh shit moment to me. It's like a make or break moment where a lot of people are going to get really depressed, and they're probably your neighbors. So load up on guns? No, I'm just kidding. So just be sensitive to it. If it happens, just be sensitive to all that is going on around you, because we can all laugh about what didn't happen, but we're stuck with the ramifications of what we are as a species, which is a fucking lazy monkey that keeps looking for something outside of ourselves to do the work for us. And that is funny to say, but it's also pathetically true. And
90 seconds.
Oh, and now the British voice is telling me I have 90 seconds. Perfect. So there's that, everybody. Hope I didn't waste your time. Thanks for staying up with me. I'll throw this on YouTube. I would like more of your feedback, so visit jvay.com or the Paratopia Facebook page or wherever you can find me. And give me your feedback and let me know in the coming days whether you see any indication of depression or people coming out of their stupor and going, yeah, we've got to take responsibility.
60 seconds.
All right. I'm done here. Take care, everybody. And goodbye.